Hello, my friends. Good afternoon, and welcome to this. My name is Len Mooney, and I'm coming to you from my home office overlooking the absolutely magnificent Pacific Ocean. A couple of weeks ago, I attended a live event called Live the Dream #8. It was in Austin, Texas. It was put on by a marketing and training platform that I'm a member of called My Lead System Pro. And one of the keynote speakers was Dr. Joe Dispenza. And Dr. Joe Dispenza is an absolutely fascinating person. I really love this guy. I embrace his teaching because I've been studying Dr. Joe and following his teachings for quite some time. For those of you who know Bob Miller, I was first introduced to Dr. Joe by Bob Miller. Bob had a copy of Dr. Joe's, I don't know if it was his first book, but one of his earlier books called You Are the Placebo. And that was a journey into self-healing. And of course, Bob had had several strokes, and he was very interested in the topic of self-healing. Dr. Joe has written several other books. One of them is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and the other is called Evolve Your Brain. There may be other books as well. Those are the ones that I have and that I have studied quite a bit. So in the next little bit of time, I want to tell you a little bit about the teachings of Dr. Joe, and I'm summarizing what I've learned from his books, from the webinar, or rather from the live event I attended, and etc. So let me give you a little history. In 1986, at the age of 23 years old, Dr. Joe was a chiropractor with an active, thriving practice in La Jolla, California. Seems a little young to have a successful practice, but that's Dr. Joe. He's ahead of his time. And at that time, he was also training for a triathlon that was to occur April 12, 1986 in Palm Springs. Now, during the bicycle ride portion of the triathlon, Dr. Joe was riding his bike at rather high speed. He was being waved through a left turn into an intersection by a volunteer whose back was turned to oncoming traffic. The volunteer did not see the SUV that was traveling at 55 miles an hour that he turned Dr. Joe in front of. Dr. Joe was hit from behind by this SUV, again traveling at 55 miles an hour. As you might imagine, his bike was crinkled up, and so was he. He bounced along on his butt, trading asphalt and skin for quite a while, and at the end of it, he had rather serious compression fractures of multiple vertebrae in his lower thoracic spine. Dr. Joe was in deep trouble, and he was told by numerous doctors that he needed radical surgery, and he needed it very quickly, something called Harrington rod surgery, where they cut off the back of your spinal cord essentially and put in steel rods, and you're going to walk around with steel rods in your back for the rest of your life. Dr. Joe freely admits that if he had been his patient, he would have advised that he do the surgery, but he refused. He checked himself out of the hospital several days later, much to the dismay of all of his doctors, and he went to a friend's house and he began the process of recovery. He truly believed that in there is the ability to recreate, to build our body. If we just can get out of its way and give it a picture of what we want, give it a blueprint, we can teach it. We don't have to teach it. We can enlist its help to rebuild our body. He proved the point. 10 weeks later, he walked back into his life without a cane, a walker, or a crutch, without surgery, without medications, and this is 30 years later. He's still walking. So it's an amazing story, and thus began his journey on the investigation of the mind-body connection and how we can learn to heal ourselves and how we can learn to change our mind and reinvent ourselves. So I want to pick up sort of there. Do you have a vision? Do you believe that your thoughts impact your life? Do you have a clear vision of your future self? Do you know that the human brain has between 60,000 and 70,000 thoughts every day, and it's estimated that 90 to 95% of those thoughts on a daily basis are the same thoughts that we had yesterday? Now, your thoughts determine your choices. Your choices determine your behaviors. Your behaviors determine your experiences. Your experiences determine your emotions. And your emotions, in turn, drive your thoughts. So this is what we call a closed-loop feedback system. We start with thoughts, to choices, to behaviors, to experiences, to emotions, and back to thoughts. Your thoughts, plus your actions, plus your feelings, equal your personality, or your personal reality. And in order to change our life, in order to change our personal reality, we have to reinvent ourselves. We have to become a different personality, a different person. Now, I digress for a moment, because those of us who are in home-based business network marketing, we often hear things like be, do, have. We have to be the person we want to become and do the things that person would do in order to have the things that that person would have. And that seems like a contradiction. Well, for example, I want to be a millionaire. I want to become a millionaire, but I'm flat broke. Well, how do I be a millionaire and act like a millionaire when I'm flat broke and I have no money and I have a stack of bills on the kitchen table? So we may be told that we need to learn to manage money, but our ego rebels and says, well, I don't have any money. How can I learn to manage that which I don't have? When I have some, I'll learn to manage it. And unfortunately, that's not the way it works. The way it works is we truly have to get those things ahead. We have to get the cart ahead of the horse. I'm sorry. We have to get the horse ahead of the cart. We have to get the cart behind the horse. So we truly need to change the way we think about these things. So, for example, as I said, perhaps your goal is to be a millionaire, and you ask yourself, well, how am I supposed to be a millionaire when I have no money, my checking account's empty, and there's a stack of bills on the kitchen table? It seems a contradiction. You might say, I don't need to change my mind. It's my checking account that has a problem. But the reality is your checking account has a problem because of all the things that are there. Your checking account is a result of all your prior actions. It's a result of all the things you've done. It's a result of your beliefs and your thoughts and your actions and your emotions and your feelings. And in order to change your checking account, we got to go back to the source. We got to change what's up there in order to make a change out there. Thus, let's look at our brain and how it works. Back to Dr. Joe. We used to be taught, and I was certainly taught, we used to be taught that by a certain age our brain is hardwired. We grow a certain number of brain cells and that's it. They may die off, but we don't make new ones. We now know in the science of neuroplasticity that that's not true. Our brain is changing continuously. And in fact, your brain, yes, your brain is different right now than it was a minute ago. And the reason is I've just given you new information. And as soon as you get new information, you generate new neural connections. Your brain is continuously making new neural connections. And in the science of our brain these days, we understand that neurons that wire together, neurons that fire together, wire together, and they become permanent. This is how memory's formed. We repeat the same actions over and over and over again, and we have neural networks that have wired together and have formed the basis of our memories. Now, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? When you get out of bed in the morning, you wake up at the same time, you hit the same alarm clock with the same hand, you roll out of bed, you go to the bathroom, do the same thing you do every morning. You brush your teeth with the same hand and the same toothbrush and the same toothpaste, and you paddle out to the kitchen and pour your coffee and drink it out of your favorite mug, and you get in your car and you drive in the same traffic jam to the same cubicle and get irritated by the same people and spend the day doing the same things you did yesterday, and then you come home and maybe you check your Facebook and check your emails and pour your favorite beer and sit in front of the television and watch your favorite program. And when you do all those things, you are living in your past. Those things are all a memory of your past. You have done the same actions over and over and over again long enough that your brain isn't even engaged. Does your brain think about picking up your coffee cup, pouring your coffee, drinking? It doesn't have to think about it. Your body does it automatically. Your body, as your subconscious mind, is in better control of what's going on in your life than your brain is. Again, we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, but 90 to 95% of them are the same thoughts we had yesterday, yet we secretly hope for a different tomorrow. We secretly hope that something is going to change. How is that true? How is something going to change if we're continuing to do the same thing day in and day out with the same thoughts, running the same old computer program, with the same old neural networks, the same old memories? You must wake up every day with a vision of your future self. You must see your future in livid technicolor before it happens. So we're going to look a little bit about how thoughts become things. Every thought produces a biochemical reaction in your brain. The brain releases chemicals. These chemical signals are transmitted to your body. And your body, these act as messengers in your body and cause your body to feel what your brain is thinking. So if your brain is thinking feel-good thoughts, it produces feel-good chemicals, dopamines, that come into your body and cause your body to feel good. So the thoughts produce the chemicals in the brain that allow your body to feel exactly the way the brain is thinking. So every thought produces a chemical that is matched by feelings in your body. Now, so like I said, when you're thinking happy thoughts, you're making happy chemicals, your body feels happy. Similarly, when you're thinking negative thoughts, self-deprecating thoughts, angry thoughts, your brain produces chemicals called neuropeptides that flood into your body and cause your body to feel bad, to feel not worth it. And your body then re-signals your brain with these feelings, these emotions, and your brain produces more chemicals. So the feel-good chemicals come into your body, cause your body to signal your brain makes more feel-good chemicals in a continuous feedback loop. Similarly, your brain, if it's thinking negative thoughts, produces negative chemicals, causes your body to feel negative, causes your body to signal your brain to make more negative chemicals in a closed feedback system. So, did you know that your thoughts also affect your heart rhythm? Did you know that when we have negative emotions such as anger, fear, our heart rhythms become erratic and disorganized? And in contrast, positive emotions, love, joy, for instance, produce highly ordered, coherent heart rhythms that are referred to as heart coherence. Now again, what happens when your body feels a certain way, happy, sad, whatever, it signals the brain to produce more of those corresponding chemicals, and so we are in a continuous positive feedback loop. Think happy thoughts, generate happy chemicals, make happy thoughts. Think negative thoughts, generate negative chemicals, make more negative thoughts. Thinking creates feelings, and feelings create thinking in a continuous cycle. So here's the key. The more we think the same thoughts, which then produce the same chemicals, which cause the body to have the same feelings, the more we physically become modified by our thoughts. In this way, depending on what we are thinking and feeling, we create our state of being. We create our physical reality. Are you with me? So how do we reinvent ourselves? Simple. We think different thoughts. It may seem simple, but for some it's not so simple. But thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body. Again, when you have a thought, your brain produces the chemical stew that enters your body and causes feelings. Mental rehearsal stimulates the brain to grow new neural circuits, which change the way the brain and body work. Your mind is your brain in action. In order to produce a different future, we must quit living in the past. We must quit firing the same old circuits and reinforcing the same old neural connections day in and day out. Spending time every day thinking about, imagining, and rehearsing how we will feel when our desired future is achieved brings it ever closer to us. Remember, the brain and body work in concert to produce a chemical cocktail that reinforces our thoughts and feelings. And when we think about the future and pretend that it is already here, we begin to make new neural connections. We send chemical messengers to our body that make us feel like we have already achieved the desired result. These feelings then reinforce the thought, which produces new neural connections in our brain, and soon we are living in and seeing and believing our future reality before it has manifested into our physical existence. The summary of this is, if we want to change some aspect of our reality, we have to think, feel, and act in new ways. We have to be different in terms of our responses to experiences. We have to become someone else. We have to create a new state of mind. We need to observe a new outcome with that new mind. So the question is, can you believe in a future that you can't see yet with your physical senses, but you have thought about it enough that your brain is literally changed to look like the event has already occurred? If you can, you have changed your brain from living in the past to living in the future. Now I'm going to take you a little deeper into the quantum field. In quantum physics, there's a concept called the observer effect. Simply stated, the observer affects the outcome of the thing being observed. For those of you who saw the movie, What the Bleak Do We Know Anyhow, there was a scene in the movie where the woman had her back turned on the basketball court. And when her back was turned, what we saw was the basketball was all over the place. It was simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. But when she turned around and looked at it, it snapped into position. But when she turned her back again, it was all over the place again. The message here is that our observation affects the thing being observed. In the universe, in the quantum field, we have all possibilities. All probabilities exist simultaneously. And the one we see is the one we expect to see. Well, this is a very bizarre concept, but it's the way it works. You know, to add a personal thought, there's this old question about if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody there, does it make a sound? My answer to that is if there's no one there, there's no tree, there's no forest. Because the existence of the tree depends on an observer observing the tree and seeing it, believing that it exists. If there's nobody there, there's no tree. Very simple. So in our present view, and I realize that's a bit of a mind blower, but in our present view of the universe, all possibilities exist simultaneously in the quantum stew. But when it becomes probable and manifests into your physical reality is the one you see, feel, and believe. Now, my mother used to say, well, I'll believe that when I see it. She never saw it, because it actually works the other way. When you believe it is when you'll see it. You will never see it until you believe it. You must believe in order to see it, and so you must wire your brain to believe that your desired future is already a present reality. Then and only then can it manifest into your physical universe. Dr. Joe states that it's a useful model to think of thoughts as an electrical charge in the quantum field, and feelings as the magnetic charge in the field. The thoughts we think send an electrical signal out into the field. The feelings we generate magnetically draw events back to us. Together, how we think and how we feel produces a state of being which generates an electromagnetic signature that influences every atom in our world. So ask yourself, what am I broadcasting, either consciously or unconsciously, on a daily basis? Now here's the key. Hold a clear intention of what you want, but leave the how, details, to the unpredictable quantum field. Let it orchestrate events in your life in a way that it's just right for you. If you're going to expect anything, says Dr. Joe, expect the unexpected. Surrender, trust, and let go of how a desired result will unfold. Just let it unfold. So by rehearsing the thing we want to be, we condition our brain to produce the chemical cocktail that makes us feel like we have what we want, and soon we begin to see ourselves as that thing. That enables us to act the way that person would act. So the result we want can manifest into our physical reality from the stew of infinite possibility. Thus, be, do, have. It's the way it works. It may seem strange, but it is the way it works. On a final parenthetical note, for me personally, I believe that many people struggle with the law of attraction for a number of reasons. One is we're focused on what we don't want, not what we do want. We don't have that clear vision of what we do want in our life. We know what we don't want. That's easier. And two is we've all been told that our thoughts become things. But what we haven't been told, and the piece we've missed, is how our feelings play into that. The thoughts without the feelings don't work. The thoughts help us generate the feelings we need in order to manifest what we want into our physical existence. Thoughts become things only when they're mixed with emotion, with feeling. That's all. I hope you got value. This is Len Moody. We'll talk again. Bye for now.